Hello again. Welcome to my YouTube channel called Just the Talk. I'm going to continue to talk about the gene and gene mutation and DNA and Darwinian theory of evolution, etc. Please watch my video number 1 to understand basics or fundamental. So last time we talked about the gene mutation, and I was mentioning that the mutation can occur in all the cells of the body. That means it starts with a single cell, which is the sperm and the ovum when they are fertilized and an egg starts. So if there are gene mutations, say in father or mother, then they would be transferred to the ovum, which is fertilized by the sperms, becomes an egg. So now it is in the cells of the eggs. The cell multiplies and different organs are formed. So every organ will have that mutation. The commonest example that we can talk about is the breast cancer gene 1 and 2. When you have this gene mutation, which is passed from the parents, either the father or the mother, there is an substantial increase in the susceptibility of breast cancer and ovarian cancer in females, prostate cancer and lymphoma in men, though it is not as strong. So the breast cancer 1 and 2 genes are well known, and when it was invented by Francis Collins and his team, they did not know about it, but they were studying a particular chromosome to find the common mutation that could explain it. At that time, a particular lady came to see him as her mother had a breast cancer, so did her aunt, and 2 of the daughters of the aunt had also breast cancer. She was worried that she may have the same gene. So Francis Collins analyzed the genetic structure of all these family members, including the males, because the males also can pass this mutation. This particular mutation called breast cancer 1 or BRCA1 and BRCA2 occurs in a chromosome number 17. So when he did the genetic mapping, interestingly enough, he analyzed 35 members of the family. Half have had the mutation. The woman who had done a bilateral mastectomy, taking out both breasts, with the fear that she had the mutation, actually did not have the mutation. And her chance of developing cancer was average, like it is with any general population. But then they also found out one lady who had a mutation and a cancer was diagnosed very early. The other people were tested and there was half the people were positive. My question when I looked at this particular research, reason for such a mutation, which is a bad mutation? Why did a bad mutation occur? Number 1. Number 2 is, despite having the mutation, only few men get any cancer, prostate or lymphoma. Why do men don't get breast cancer? Again, I can understand that people will talk about estrogens and progesterone and cancer growth and environment and all that stuff. But again, when the transfer of the gene occurs, how is it decided that which child gets the mutated gene? Because if you know the pairs of the chromosomes, one pair goes to one sperm, the other one goes to another sperm. How is it picked up that this one, which has a bad mutation, is transferred to the child by the sperm, which has that mutation, and this one, which has good, is not transferred? So how is this decision makes place that the sperm, which got the bad gene mutation, fertilized the ovum, or the sperm which got good gene, no mutation, fertilize the egg? Where and how is it decided? We certainly don't have the answer. There are several gene mutations which occur in cancer cells. Now, these are not in the body cells, but these are present in the cancer cells themselves. So if you take a buccal swab from the mouth, they will not have this gene mutation. Breast cancer mutation would be in every cell in the body. So there's a mutation called EGFR. And this is seen in cancer cells of lung cancers. About 15% of the lung cancers have that gene mutation. But it is seen in 62% of Asians who have lung cancer. And the cancer mutated cells have this gene mutation. Importance is that there are certain medications that will be more helpful with this EGFR mutation. The question is, why would a non-smoker and Asians have this mutation at a higher rate? Remember, this mutation is in a cancer cells. Why do non-smokers and Asians have this at a very high rate? I don't have the answer. Again, Darwinian theory certainly can't help us to do that. Maybe some environmental factors are explanation. The gene mutation, as I mentioned, can occur in two different ways. One is in the cancer cells, one is in all the cells of the body, transfer from either mother or father at the time of birth. Another mutation, which is called FOXP2, FOXP2. This affects the language and the speech. This gene is seen in all mammals, and change in this gene structure happened about 100,000 years ago. So the animals cannot speak, at least that's what I understand. How they speak and we don't understand, I don't know. The human beings can or have language. The mutation has no advantage. Having a FOXP2 gene mutation has no advantage. But when it happens, people have a significant problem with the speech. Again, why did this mutation occur? No idea. Again, it is called spontaneous mutation. Basically means we don't know. Another one interesting part of gene mutation studies is the twins. Identical twins, which means they basically have exactly same genes. If you look at, and this will help to answer the question nature or nurture. Is it happening because of environment, or is it happening because of the genes or genetic structure? So one has been studied, like identical twin studies, many diseases we have looked at like this. So we can find out whether there is an environmental effect or not. Homosexuality, which is studied, is seen only in 20% of the identical twins. That means if one twin is homosexual, then the other one is likely to be homosexual only in 20%, not 100%, even though the genetics is 100% common. In general public, the homosexuality is about 4%. So certainly we do see more in homosexual if one has it, but not anywhere close to 100%. What would be the cause of this? Could there be an environmental factor or so? Certainly one needs to look at it, but genetics in that particular way cannot explain it. In every society, people have tried to study the criminals and see if there is a gene which could explain the criminal or antisocial behavior. One of the genes that was studied was called MAOA. MAOA, monoamine oxidase inhibitor A. Scientists have studied this gene and found that in some people, when there is a low level or gene mutation in this particular one, these people become antisocial, not necessarily a criminal. They may become criminal, but their interesting part was that this was not, again, 100% effect. If the children were mistreated during early childhood, they became aggressive, antisocial, maybe even criminal. Please don't misunderstand that all criminals have this gene mutation. No. Contrast to that, those people who had the mutation and low levels of MAO, but they were living in a loving family and were not mistreated, they did not become antisocial or criminals. This is again not 100% gene mutation that explains criminality, This is just one of the genes that was studied in people that became antisocial. So the abnormal gene, if you're born in a good family, does not become effective. Same abnormal gene mutation, if you're born in a bad environment, you become problem. So some of the thoughts that I'm going to summarize in this particular video, they are only my observation. This is not related to any scientific conclusion. If you look at the house construction, say in India or US or UK or Denmark or anywhere else, they all have similar type of building blocks, cement or bricks, so whatever we are using, mortars, trusses, wooden framing, etc. Same way when the animals are created and human beings are socialized animals, we are using the same building blocks, which is cells, and cells have same nucleus. DNA and genes are very similar because we are ultimately creating the house or creating a body. But the people living in the houses are not same, even though the houses are same. Some are tall, some are short, some are fat, some are skinny, some are nice, others are not so. So the different physical bodies are inhabited by different mind, intellect, ego, and consciousness or spirit. So it is not surprising that all animals, mice to chimpanzee to human beings, have similar genetic structure and the protein producing genes are similar. But the two other bodies called astral and causal, or sukshma and karan sharir, as it is stated, are different, and the level of evolution of consciousness is different. Discriminating ability of human beings and mice are different, but that sometimes cannot be explained by the genes or DNA. So the real evolution is in mind and intellect and consciousness, and that may be triggered by the genes or rather that cannot be explained by the genes or mutation in the genes. We have heard that one can choose the friends but not the parents. I feel exactly opposite to that. Not only we can select the parents, but we do select our parents. After the death, the physical body which dies, one continues to have an astral or causal body, sukshma, and the karan sharir, and they are all stored vasanas or desires, give and take, the debt, it continues. There are also attachments, and that creates that we created when we had an existence on this earth in a physical body. So we try to be born again to fulfill those attachments, the attachments, the debt repayments, and also to fulfill our vasanas. We are born in such families where we can fulfill those things. We also want to improve upon ourselves, and only way we can improve is by doing good karmas. And the karmas 99% of the time are for bodies, quenching somebody's thirst or feeding hungry or helping sick, somebody who needs surgery, painting a sculpture. Everything that we want to do is to by physical body. So without the physical body, one cannot exist to fulfill our vasanas or our desires and our attachments. And so we have to have a physical body. We select an environment which fulfills these particular desires, and that's why we are born. Now, when we talk about, but there are multiple forces, 1, 2, 3, 10, 20, and they pull all of us in different directions. When we talk about gene mutations of breast cancer 1 and 2 and low levels of MAO1, etc., our karmas determine where we are born, and multiple factors determine whether we actually get a cancer or whether we actually become antisocial or criminals. And this is by multiple forces. the karmas do not have one-to-one effect, but multiple karmas acting on same human being subsequently lead to the outcome that we see as a future in the life. The stored up karmas are sanchit karmas. Prarabdha karmas are the one that are we're born with and that are going to come to fruition in this life. And kriyaman are the one that we actually do in the present life. There is also an additional factor of free will, and some of the effects of karma can be changed with little effect. Some need a lot of effect, and some certainly can never be eliminated or changed completely because they are so strong penetration, as we call it with the genetics. So I feel the seeds of karma must work somehow, but they must work through the physical body. And physical body is made of cells, and cells have DNA. DNA has genes which control many of our functions. So the karmas work or must work through the genes. The gene mutation occurs because of that. The genetic composition of parents and the gene mutation that is passed by one of them and the gene mutation that occurs spontaneously or so-called spontaneously is to help express the fruits of karma. Again, mutation that occurs spontaneously or occurs because of reasons is to express the fruits of karma. Law of karma is complex, not a simple like having a one-to-one effect, and difficult to understand and explain in all circumstances, especially when one is an infant child and gets a cancer. Very difficult to explain what could be the cause of it. There is no book like criminal code which gives rise to, oh, you do this bad karma, you get that punishment. If you do this good karma, you get this reward. I wish there was one. But so maybe we can make conscious decision when we do that knowingly something is wrong, then certainly there is an effect. And it is stored in the bank of karma called sanchita karma. So the evolution did happen. It is more than just physical body. The cause of evolution is more complex than just what has been said. We don't understand everything, but the expression of karmic fruits comes through the genetic mutation. That is what I feel. Again, this is purely an opinion, not a scientific one. Thank you for watching. Hope you like it and subscribe. Have a nice day.